As far as the investigation of the Illinois governor's activities concerning Barack Obama, Blagojevich, well, he got a break today from none other than the man who charged him in the first place. The Special Investigative Committee of the Illinois legislature, considering the impeachment of Governor Rod Blagojevich, asked federal prosecutors whether they could interview people connected to the scandal. But U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald put the kibosh on that request, saying that it, quote, could significantly compromise the ongoing criminal investigation. I'm joined now by our own Eugene Robinson of the Washington Post. Thanks so much for making time for us tonight.
Good to be here, Tamara.
Well, Eugene, so if the impeachment committee essentially can't gather their own evidence against Blago, how do they move forward on it now?
Well, first of all, Tamara, you, of course, know Illinois politics quite well, but the Illinois state constitution is pretty vague on what constitutes grounds for impeachment. It's impeachable offenses. It pretty much seems to let the legislature define what would be grounds to impeach the governor. It gives them a lot of latitude at the very least. And there is this affidavit on file, filed the day that Governor Blagojevich was arrested, that details this whole series of allegations and the conversations as quoted by Patrick Fitzgerald. Now, is that enough for the House essentially to indict him, because that's what the Illinois House would do? It might well be. Is that enough for the Illinois Senate to convict him and remove him from office? I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure what the sort of legal grounds are for that. But they can continue to move ahead. They just don't have access to the primary sources.
But is moving ahead the only goal here? Obviously, they want to impeach him, and they might, or at least someone believes that they need the wiretapes or some kind of hard evidence in this. And as you know, I lived in Chicago, and it's a tough town. You got to bring it in some cases, and it sounds like if Blagojevich wants to bring it, the other side certainly has to counter.
Exactly. If Governor Blagojevich, I'm not sure I'm nominating him for membership in Mensa, but he's played this pretty smartly. He's held on to his office, because if he had resigned when this first came out and everybody was telling him to resign, but in fact he'd just be another schlub who was under indictment by the U.S. Attorney. He's still the governor of Illinois. That fact in and of itself is a tremendous bargaining chip that he has. It might be a get-out-of-jail card at some point, so I think he's going to hold on to it as long as he can. Which
would be incredible. So if Blagojevich isn't leaving, the legislature can't force him out. What happens? I mean, do the people of Illinois sit essentially as hostages here? I mean, they had a radio show the other day, Eugene, that offered people a chance to throw a shoe at a cardboard cutout of Blagojevich, and people signed up. A lot of people signed up.
Yeah, I think you can throw shoes at him all you want, but you can't get him out of office until you do so legally. And short of impeachment or conviction, which clearly wouldn't happen for a long time, I'm not quite sure how they can pry him out. So he's going to be there for a while, so as he said. I believe him.
Excuse me, Eugene, but I got to ask you then, what happens to the Senate seat? Beyond the people of Illinois and their concerns and them not getting any business done, according to Lisa Madigan, the Attorney General, what happens to that Senate seat?
Well, that's a good question. The legislature could, I believe, pass a law and try to essentially do it by special election. I think they could do that legislatively. That's a politically dicey issue, however. The Democrats would like to hold on to that seat. Who knows what would happen in a special election, especially with the Democratic governor under this sort of cloud. So they don't want to go to a special election if they can help it. But by the same token, they certainly don't want to have Blagojevich appoint Obama's successor. So my guess is that nothing happens for a while until we see if impeachment's going to be on train and if they're going to be able to make it work.
So, Gene, if that is the case, let's go through a soap opera. We'll have a dynasty moment here. What happens if Blagojevich is still in office when Obama takes the presidency? Isn't that going to cause a huge problem for Obama in that you've got this guy in charge of your home state and thus in charge of things like potential block grants for a stimulus package? Isn't he the problem child then?
This is the pageant of democracy, Tamara, and this is what you have to deal with. I'm not sure how the administration would deal with it if they wanted to somehow circumvent Blagojevich. I don't know if they could earmark the money somehow? I don't think so. He's the governor. He's going to be the governor for a while. We need to get used to it.
Oh, boy. All right, Eugene. Thank you very much. Eugene Robinson of MSNBC and Washington Post. Thank you so much, and happy holidays. Good to talk to you, too.